A very warm welcome to you for this monthly Dreams webinar in which we focus on bite-sized aspects of dreams, helping you to understand your own dreams and move forward in life. Today, we're looking at how to work with your dreams to accelerate your spiritual path. And this is part 2 of a 2-part series. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I highly recommend watching that first so that you can understand the background to why working with dreams offers such an excellent opportunity to help you achieve your life purpose and to give you the context for what we'll be discussing today. If you enjoyed today's session, then please like and subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified of more videos as I upload them. And if you have any questions, then please feel free to leave a comment below and I'll get right back to you. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Olly. I'm a spiritual counselor and healer, and I help people to overcome challenges so that they can heal and move forward in their life purpose. So one of the tools I use with my clients is to work with them on their dreams to help guide us in the healing process. My passion for dreams started in 2018, and I've been studying the work of dream teachers since then, in particular Michael Sheridan, who is well worth checking out, highly recommended. And a lot of what we'll cover today is from his work, but also his teacher before him, George Radigan, and others. So let's dive into the second half of this 2-part series to see how you can actually work practically with your dreams to accelerate your spiritual path and help your life to flow with more joy and more ease. So in part 1, we covered why work with dreams in the first place. We looked at how to boost your dream recall, and we looked at some basic dream interpretation rules. We also looked at a powerful healing therapy that looks at the feelings that dreams impart to us during a dream. And by working with that feeling, we can actually do some healing on that directly. We also looked at how to work with dream characters. So in this second webinar of the series, we're going to look at 2 more powerful healing approaches. Now, the first one is called dream re-entry. Now, this is a very simple but effective way of working with your dreams on a daily basis. And we'll also be looking at a therapy called cutting the ties that bind. It is a healing and transformational therapy devised by Phyllis Krystal. And it's especially effective for healing childhood trauma and conditioning. We'll also learn how dreams can track the progress of any kind of therapy that you may be doing. And this is particularly useful for cutting the ties that bind. So we'll be using the cutting the ties that bind as a kind of case study for seeing how the progress goes with the dreams. So let's take a look at a really practical, easy way of working with your dreams called dream re-entry. So this is really going to accelerate your spiritual growth if you do it on a daily basis. So even if the meaning of your dream is unclear, which, let's face it, some dreams can be just like way out there and it's like, what's going on? And unless you channel the meaning of that, it can be quite challenging sometimes. But dream re-entry uses the language of the subconscious mind, that imagery that's used in your dreams. And because dreams offer healing and guidance, but often our subconscious spoils these due to fears, then we can actually use those negative symbols that come up to flip them around and work with them. It's really easy to do, and it's based on the imagination. So if you can daydream, you can do this. Each re-entry only takes a few minutes to do, and ideally you want to be aiming for 2 or 3 re-entries per dream as an ideal kind of amount. But even if you just did this for once a day on a dream you had that night, it will still be effective. So how do you do it? How do you do dream re-entry? So the first thing is to write down your dream. Then highlight any of the negative aspects. And what we're looking for here are any kind of symbols which suggest limitation avoidance or containment of any way. So some negative symbols. Then, once you've got those, relax somewhere comfortable. You want to just totally relax, close your eyes, focus on your breathing for a minute, and just get into a very relaxed meditative state. Then reimagine the dream and simply change those negatives into positives. So this is going to encourage the subconscious mind to accept the guidance and healing that was originally offered by the dream. And that dream has been sent by your higher self. So you're kind of having a conversation with your subconscious mind using the imagery and flipping the negatives to the positive. And that is helping your subconscious mind to accept the healing and guidance from your higher self. And that's it. So let's take a look at an example to see this in action. So this is a dream I had quite a while ago. And so as with any dream, of course, it's a really good idea to title it. So I would probably title this The Wolf, or something like that. Here's the dream. I see a blue-gray wolf standing up like a human on the other side of a fence. She suddenly crosses over to my side and I'm afraid that she might kill me, and I shout, "No!" So what are the negatives, the limitations, symbols in this dream? Any ideas? Okay, well, let's start by saying we've got some gray in there, and gray is never really a good color to see in a dream, and black's worse, but gray kind of means you're uncommitted, or you're sitting on the fence, or there's something that you're not sure about. So we also see that I'm afraid in the dream. So and that I'm worried that she's going to kill me, and I shout, "No!" So what could we do to flip this dream around, do a dream re-entry, and kind of encourage our subconscious mind? Well, first thing is that gray. What can we do with that? So if we were to change that blue-gray into a white and a blue, then, or a blue and a white, then that's going to be a much better color combination, because white is all about hope and faith and purity. So it's kind of suggesting to our subconscious mind that the blue, which represents expression of self, a kind of philosophy of life, is to kind of bring that philosophy of life and make it a positive. The overall symbol here is, of course, the wolf, which refers to intuition. So this whole dream is really about the gift of intuition, which comes from the higher self. And it's really when you have kind of just knowings and just sort of sometimes downloads. You go and just know, I just know that that's right, or that's true. But I'm obviously in this dream, I am a little bit reticent about this gift, a bit on the fence, a little bit unsure. That's the gray. So we can tear down the fence. That's also a really good thing to do. Fences, walls, they're all about separation, and it's to do with the heart. It's to do about sharing. So we want to be tearing those down if we see them in dreams. And this is true if you become lucid in a dream as well. If you see a wall or a fence, just take it down, knock it down somehow. So I could invite the wolf over to me and maybe give her a big hug, something like that. So these are all good ideas. You could even imagine that the wolf licks you affectionately. So anything just to flip it around to the positive and send that information to the subconscious mind. Okay, so I didn't need to know a lot of dream interpretation here. I may not even have known that it was about intuition, just that the wolf was scary, but in dreams we have to face our fears, and that's the path to growth. Okay, let's take a look now at another therapy, which is cutting the ties that bind. Now this is created by a lady called Phyllis Krystal, and it works using imagery that's understood again by the subconscious mind. It's a really effective therapy to heal childhood trauma and conditioning, and that's true especially from an early age, when traditional talk therapy can't usually address that time, because the reasoning or rational part of us really only starts developing or is only developed to a degree at around age 7. So anything before that, talk therapy, anything rational, intellectual, is not really going to help. So it's usually done with parents, one at a time. Very important. Now, parents are our primary caregivers. They are the source of our childhood conditioning. And that conditioning was agreed by us and agreed by them that they would give it to us so that we would have the opportunity to grow by overcoming those limitations and beliefs that we formed from that conditioning. So the important thing is that that cutting the ties that bind removes negative conditioning. It keeps the positive influences. So it's not about cutting yourself off from your mum or your dad. It's not about cutting of any of the positives. So it's sometimes the title is a little bit misunderstood. It's really a loving therapy, and it helps you to form better relationships with your parents. It often takes several weeks, sometimes up to 10 weeks, and your dreams will follow a pattern during that therapy, which will show you where you are in the therapy and when it's finished. So regular counseling or coaching sessions during the therapy is essential for a successful outcome. This is because that counseling is going to help you to unlock suppressed early memories and feelings. And this is done via dream interpretation and also by hypnotic regression therapy. And that will enable the release of these emotions and feelings, as well as the therapy of cutting the ties as well. That's a really powerful combination. That counseling will also help reprogram beliefs which are impacting you in the present time. And the cutting the ties that bind will help to do that at a subconscious level too. It'll help cultivate forgiveness. And of course, forgiveness is letting go of the need for retribution of what happened in the past. So also, it's really important to have a trained therapist to support you during this process, because during the process of cutting the ties that bind, there are some pretty intense emotions and feelings that come up. For example, anger. Often for a couple of days, many people experience a kind of a depression, and quite a few people actually give up at that point unless they have that support and help from a trained therapist. So cutting the ties that bind can be repeated several times if needed, and subsequent times are never as difficult as the first time or as long as the first time, just as long as the first time was done correctly. And this therapy will positively impact the energy aspect being worked on. And that includes physical problems. So for example, digestive problems are often helped when cutting the ties with father, because the digestive system is fed energy from fed masculine energy from the sort of the lower chakras. Alternatively, if the dreamer is cutting ties with their mother, then they may find that they're more able to forgive people after the therapy, and much more easily to be tolerant and forgiving, and their philosophy of life improves. Sort of internal aspects of ourselves, whereas the masculine is more external. So let's just take a look at cutting the ties with mother and father and just see what the main headlines are for these. So cutting the ties with mother is going to open the heart. As I say, help people to forgive more easily, help you to share your feelings, open that heart up. It's going to improve relationships with women, and it's going to promote a more positive philosophy of life. It also will have an effect, most likely, of enhancing any spiritual abilities that you've brought with you, and everybody's brought at least one. So these are spiritual gifts. So it could be, for example, it could be channeling gift, it could be spiritual leadership, any of those kind of aspects. Cutting the ties with father will improve your self-confidence and self-worth. It'll improve relationships with men in general, digestive issues as mentioned, and also career. Now, career is sort of focused on ambition, And that again is a masculine energy. And so any blocks that you're experiencing in your career may well be to do with issues that you need to deal with regarding father, or the conditioning that you picked up from your father. So whenever any kind of therapy is working, dreams will change. If dreams don't change noticeably, then the therapy is not working. So they can become more intense, more extreme, more disturbing. Dreams will show what energy you're working on. So if you're working on masculine energy, that's going to come up mostly in the dreams during the therapy. As you progress, then you'll see that the dreams, you'll see references to current physical or emotional issues in the dream. So it might be that you see present day issues such as digestive issues coming up as symbols in the dream as well. And of course, it's good to have someone who can interpret dreams to do that. If the therapy is working, then the dreams will tend to become shorter, and we're going to accept the message faster, and we spoil them less. That's what we tend to do in dreams. We tend to, especially at the end of a dream, everything's going fine, the healing's there, the guidance is there, and then the subconscious kicks in and goes, no, I don't want this, I'm too scary. And you put a negative spin on something. But when we're in therapy and it's working, then very often those dreams tend to end positively and be shorter as well. We often reach back to ourselves at a younger age in dreams and give the healing that we need to our younger selves. And so that's kind of inner child work, if you like, that comes up symbolically in your dreams. So you often see that during therapy as well. Healing symbols might come up, for example, the sun or a sports car, and the dreamer often gets very close to positive male or female characters as during the end stages of the therapy. So that's just like a little breakdown of what happens to dreams when a therapy is working and what you can expect. Now let's take a look at the timeline that you can apply for pretty much any therapy. The time may change, but the basic trajectory of the healing can be used. So here we've got a graph of time in weeks. So we're going to apply cutting the ties that bind to this, and we're going to be tracking the progress with dreams. So what do our dreams tell us as we progress? So on the positive axis here, we've got the fact that dreams will be positive, healing, short, and accepted by your subconscious, so not spoiled. On the negative, dreams are going to be negative, violent, long, and that's a process where our higher self keeps trying to send us healing and guidance, and we keep rejecting it. So that can happen there. And the trajectory is kind of a curve like this. So initially, in the first couple of weeks, dreams are going to become more intense, darker, and unpleasant if the therapy is working. So we may see masculine or feminine energy, whichever has been worked on in the dream, and you're going to be seeing positive and negative characters representing that particular energy. So both positive and negative for whatever, if it's masculine, you're working on your father, if it's feminine, you're working on your mother, will appear in the dream. It's kind of like a conflict between the two. As we get into the middle of this therapy now, right down at the bottom, we're going to have some pretty full-on stuff coming up, mostly. Physical conflict, war, fighting, injuries, blood, gore, and you're going to see war scenes and all sorts. And that, again, is great to see in this therapy because it shows that the therapy is being effective. So then the dreams are going to show healing happening. We're on the upward slope of the curve. So you might see bandaged people, bloody and bandaged people, graduations, moving on, contractors, workmen are really good to see in dreams, cleaners, yeah, hospitals even. And that's when you see that kind of thing happening, you've typically got about 1 to 2 more weeks left when cutting the ties that bind. So recovery healing symbols. And then towards the end, the last couple of weeks, dreams turn much more positive as the therapy has created a lot of healing momentum. You're going to dream of positive male or female characters that you've lost touch with, and that the dream encourages you to get close to. And you'll most likely find a way of avoiding this to start with, but eventually in your dreams, you'll dream about a male or a female, depending who you're cutting the ties with, that you really admire and that you're going to get physically close to. You're going to be hugging them, kissing them, or even getting into bed with them. That would be perfect. So whichever energy has been worked on will show up in very, very positive ways at the end of the therapy. And the dreamer is going to accept this healing from their higher self. We're not going to spoil it. There's going to be no turning negative at the end of the dream. So completion of the therapy is often seen by 2 or 3 nights of these types of dream. You might also see the gender switching, and that will indicate that, great, you're done with dad, now you can look at mum. But typically we would have a break before doing that, because it's quite an intensive process, this. So bear in mind that healing happens in stages. The cutting the ties that bind process usually heals a significant number of layers. So it's quite a full-on therapy. It's quite effective. But at a later date, you may need to cut the ties again to deal with other aspects that come up regarding mother or father. But usually this is going to be faster. It's going to be a few weeks as opposed to 7 to 10, and it's going to be much less intense. And as I mentioned, during this whole therapy, from day 0, day 1 up to the 10th week, especially during the middle, it's going to be, sometimes you get quite intense emotions coming up in your real life. So it's really important to have that support in a trained therapist while you're doing this therapy. Cool. Just to help you through, really, and to give you a sense of perspective of what's actually happening, because you might get fairly freaked out by some of these dreams. So if you'd like to learn more about the cutting the ties that bind process, you are welcome to book a free online meeting with me. There's a link below in the description box. So, dreams offer us guidance and healing in order to accelerate our growth in awareness and achieve our life purpose. And today we've covered dream re-entry, a really simple little technique you can use on a daily basis to just give you that acceleration. We've looked at cutting the ties that bind by Phyllis, Krystal, and what that entails. And we've seen how you can track your progress using dreams. And that would apply to any kind of therapy. But as I say, the timelines might be different depending on the therapy. So cutting the ties that bind, we went up to about 10 weeks. So if you want to know if these healing approaches could help you in some way, then you're most welcome to get in touch. I help people to heal using spiritual therapies such as cutting the ties. And if you're interested to learn more, please feel free to visit my website, oliverwedgwood.com. And you're more than welcome to book a free meeting. It's a sort of no obligation video meeting with me. I can explain more about what's possible, and you can ask questions and get a feel of what might be possible as a therapy for you. There's a link in the description box below. So thank you so much for watching, and feel free to leave a comment and perhaps share your experiences of how dreams have helped you in your life. I'd love to hear about your experiences. I hope you've enjoyed the webinar. If so, please, I'd be very grateful if you gave it the thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more of these. And and if you'd like to learn more about dreams and spirituality. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and bye for now.